I've known Marvin and Merle Mitchell for about 20 years. They used to live at Bethesda Lutheran Home for the Mentally Retarded in Watertown, Wisconsin, which is the town where I grew up. Last year, Merle called me up and asked me to videotape his wedding. He was getting married to Charlene Magoni, who is his girlfriend for a number of years. And the big question on my mind is, what's going to become of Marvin? Because Merle and Marv share an apartment. Merle's always been the more capable one, the one who has taken care of them. And if Merle's getting married, what's going to happen to the twin brother?
A friend of ours is getting Marvin, getting us a house. So it's going to be him in a pretty good sized kitchen, you know.
Oh, so Marvin's going to live with you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Somehow I thought that you guys were going to go separate ways, but you're still going to live together, the three of you, huh?
Yeah.
It came to be time for the wedding. I went in early to the church and talked to Pastor Tom Holmes.
Each person has their own identity with their own strengths and weaknesses, and he has some wonderful strengths. And the question is just how can we help him put together the kind of system that will help support him and make his relationship with Charlene the best it can be. Include family, caseworkers, friends, and kind of a network of support that will continue past this service. But as far as I'm concerned, Merle and Charlene are doing as well as a lot of people who society would call more normal.
I started thinking of some of the other questions and some of the other issues involved, like what are the marital rights of people with mental retardation? And more important, what are the reproductive rights of these people? Who can reproduce? And who has the authority to tell you whether or not you can have a baby?
People with disabilities still have certain rights even if they have a guardian. So they could still get married. You couldn't force somebody to have a sterilization, something like that, even if you were their guardian. People have the right to make informed choices. So even whether or not somebody with a cognitive disability or a developmental disability knew that they were going to have a child with a disability, they still have the right to choose.
I asked Merle and Charlene if they were thinking of having children, and they said, oh, well, it would be nice. But they didn't really give me any answer.
Be my husband. From this day forward.
I talked to my mother-in-law, and she told me a story from her childhood of a stepsister with mental retardation.
She was having a flirtation with carpenters across the street. It was getting out of hand, and I told my mother about it, and my mother got real upset, of course. And after that, she and Artis's father, my mother's husband, had several discussions and decided to have Artis sterilized. I believe it's a good idea for all mentally retarded people to be sterilized.
Right now, I think the courts are saying they will not authorize a sterilization unless there's a true medical need. I've had clients approach me wanting to have sterilizations arranged for disabled children, usually daughters, and as young as 14, and I've had the court refuse that. A generation or so ago, 50, 70 years ago, it was real common. Parents would arrange for sterilization on a regular basis.
It gives me great honor to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Merle. The
wedding went off pretty well. The wedding was successful. It had A lot of the Mitchells' relatives were there, some of their friends. And then there was a little reception at the back of the church. I met Merle's boss, Dave, who he works with at Federal Armored Express. And I met the Einens, who are old friends of Merle's from Watertown. A couple days after the wedding, last May 23rd, Charlene and Merle went to Delavan, Wisconsin for a honeymoon trip. They went to a pet shop for their honeymoon. The Einens own a pet shop, and Merle and Charlene stayed with them a couple days upstairs from the pet shop.
I think they're good for each other, and they were taking care of each other for a long time, so they might just as well be married, and I see nothing wrong with it.
Okay. They probably won't have kids or anything, though.
No, I hope not. Growing old together will be good, you know, because they're not young chicks anymore, but they seem to be doing real well.
Back in Chicago, they settled into a routine of work and hanging out in the neighborhood. The message that most people gave the Mitchells was that it's a good thing to be married, but it takes a lot of work.
You know, marriage is not just, you know, coming home and baking, you know, fixing supper and doing the dishes and going to bed, and that everything's going to be okay. That every marriage does have problems, and that if they are going to get married, they also have the responsibility to work through these problems. But in this whole situation, when the people do have, they have the rights to get married, to get divorced, to bear children, to raise children if the proper supports are there so that their child is not injured. What's coming through in the 90s is that we always have to put the emphasis on what the person's abilities are, not the disabilities.
One day I went to visit a couple in Rockford who also is developmentally disabled and talked to them about their marriage. They've been married for 10 years or so.
This is Jerry Mathis and his wife Mary Mathis. How long have you guys been married?
8 years.
8 years. Did the question of children come up? Are you going to have children, or have you talked about having children?
I can't.
You can't have children, okay.
Got her tubes tied.
Okay. Was that your idea, or was that somebody else's idea?
That was your mother's.
A couple that I used to work with at the Ark who had children, and both of the couple did have, both individuals in this couple did have mental retardation, and they had a daughter, and I don't think they had any major problems raising her any different than the rest of us have that have children that don't have disabilities, except for the fact that the daughter was very intelligent and pulled a lot of stuff over them because they didn't, you know, they didn't really have the capacity to deal with some of the things like with their education and different things like that. They really needed a strong support system to help them out with that. I've seen another, like a single mom who was mentally retarded, and her daughter, same thing, daughter much higher functioning than the mother, and used to call mom dummy and stuff like that, and I had some real problems with that. But I think with the right support system in place, there's no reason that people with disabilities can't have kids and have it be as successful or as rewarding as it is for the rest of us.
Over the months, I noticed a lot of tension building in their household. As you can imagine, the new bride and the twin brother were a little bit at each other's throats.
Oh, shoot. I'm glad I'm gonna have to worry about that day. If I have to worry. Just keep it up, you'll be taking my place, and I'll be in a small of the suitcase. Hey, I tell you what, the day it comes tomorrow, I'll be there.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, sure.
Charlene tended to blame Marvin for any of their problems. In November, I picked the three of them up, and we all went to Wisconsin for the weekend to visit some old friends. And the whole issue of their living arrangement came to a head then.
My life could be better, it could be worse. I have to look at it on the bright side. But I could say no comparison.
Yeah, but how is it different? What's different now?
New sister-in-law. I have to look at the good responsibilities in the future.
Do you remember the first time you met Charlene?
No.
Do you remember?
Cause time I got down here, I don't know nobody.
Well, did Merle introduce you?
No. I'll be the man, be excused.
Yeah, sure. Here, I'll get that for you. Wait, I want to book it. How is it living with Marvin?
Not that easy. Well, he tells me that I should do the wash and I shouldn't have to do his. I'm only supposed to take care of Merle. Well, you know, that's the only one.
Doesn't Merle do his own wash?
Well, I help Merle. I'm only married to Merle, not to him. I'm glad you're different. You don't get men like him. He gets upset too easy. That's not good, Rick. I don't think we can have him live with us much.
No, I'm gonna call Jody.
He doesn't even like you being married, I don't think. That's what it is. He's jealous. That's what it is. I suppose Pam puts things in it. See what I mean, Wayne?
Yeah. It's my sister's idea.
Yeah, and get in our business.
She babies Marvin.
He ain't around, is he?
And, you know, I think it's the time as soon as I can get back, I gotta make few telephone calls.
He's even trying to get in our marriage, too. What?
You know, it's not good with 3 people.
Open this thing up.
Thank you.
We're both up here. We'll help you bring it too.
It's pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Many of their freedoms are gone as compared to your average citizen. Many of these people do not choose where they want to live. Many of them do not choose where they want to work. We do not want to interfere with the freedom of these individuals any more than society already has. I'm not opposed to individuals marrying or having children as long as they understand what is involved and that they have some ability enough to be able to have a chance to succeed.
So a week or two later, I went in and talked to their landlord. He happened to show up when I was there.
So I've asked him, why are you behind in the rent? And Marvin keeps telling me he did not get the Social Security payments, and the Social Security administration does not give me any information. And so we do not know whether Marvin got his payments or whether he's not paying his share of the rent.
Marvin got his own apartment sometime right before Christmas. How'd you find the place?
With a couple of police officers.
They helped you find it?
Yeah.
Good. And they gonna help you make sure you pay the rent and everything?
Yeah, but they don't got a lot of contacts.
And Marvin's a lot happier. When I talked to him, he was much more relaxed. He and Merle were able to joke around like they always had been. The tension was gone between Marv and Charlene. And it seems to be the right move as long as Marvin can take care of himself.
For so many years, they were told when to go to the bathroom, when to be here, when to be there, and then all of a sudden this wave of independence came, and clients were supposed to make their own decisions, yet for so many years we trained them to follow a certain routine.
Merle and Charlene reached complete independence and then found they couldn't quite handle it. So around New Year's, they went back to the Proviso Association for Retarded Citizens.
Yeah, and we are going back to park.
They help us out with food and budgeting, apartment maintenance.
And what made you decide to do that?
Well, it's about last week. You know,
We knew we needed help.
Friday we had that meeting, did we?
Yeah.
Went to the house of the twins' older sister, Jody. It turns out Jody is a registered nurse and teaches psychiatric nursing at a school for nurses. There was never any question of them having children, though.
No, Charlene has had her tubes tied some time back.
Oh.
She's had extensive abdominal surgery.
Right, I know. Jody pulled out all the photos of the twins from when they were young. And then Jody told me the early history of the twins' life.
We were very, very poor people. My mother hardly had any prenatal care at all. We were not expecting twins. We did not know that they were coming. I was 12 years old, and when they were born, Mother had a lady from the neighboring farm and a doctor who had been thrown out of practice in the town that we lived near. So because they were twins and because we were not expecting them, they did not get oxygen as quickly as they should have. So I've always felt that that was probably the cause of your problems. Finally, when they entered school, because they were so much slower than the other children, someone said to us, they're retarded. And it was like, I think we always knew it, but it was like a horrible revelation to us. So then my entire family, especially myself, because I'm a registered nurse also, and my mother and father became very active in forming a school for developmentally disabled children. At the age of 13, my parents began to investigate putting them in some kind of specialized school because my father was 20 years older than my mother. He was a great deal older, and he had no patience with the twins whatsoever. And so they did go to Bethesda. Merle had open heart surgery, you know. That was when he was 14 or 15 years old.
16.
And he had one of the first open heart surgeries at St. Luke's Press in Chicago. And when he went back to Bethesda, he was to get a shot of penicillin every day for so many weeks, and he got tired of taking the shot of penicillin. Do you know this story? So Marvin would go in every other day.
Oh, I can remember that
and
day.
Take the shot.
We were at
penicillin.
Bethesda, the pig was facing me, Marvin, the penicillin.
Yeah.
But the name from Marvin was Merle.
Yes. And nobody caught on to it till one day they were running errands for the nurse up there, and they confessed this wonderful joke they had played on her. She was so upset. She called us to tell us about it. Well, it was too late then.
Well, Marv, didn't that hurt?
You know, he was his brother. He'd do anything for him, right? You want that picture, honey? Go ahead and take it.
Boy, I got a lot of good backup, do I? There's so much things going on now, it's not real. You know, but anyhow, we're doing well for the good, you know. We have to do a lot of planning, you know, what we're going to do from there, you know.
It's nice to come home to a husband. Used to be lonely before.
And what about you, Merle? What's the best part of being married for 1 year?
Oh, one thing about it. Let's see. The best thing is I respect Charlene because I loved her and I care for her.
Thank you.
You know, like husband and wife, to notify and share our life together. You know, that's the important thing. But I don't know, like up and downs, you know, the scales. But I guess we're doing okay.
Yep.